Aries.
And I am Kim, and we have a special guest with us.
We do. This is Angie from Angie Knows Loans, Angela Carter. And we're going to get into that in a second. We wanted to recap a little bit about some fun stuff we did this weekend.
Yes, so this past Saturday, we volunteered with the Black Girls Code at Microsoft.
Yes, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can see our little shirts they gave us. It's super cute.
So this weekend, or I don't know if it's the month, is International Women's Day. And so I thought it was great that they had that event. They taught the girls how to code Python.
Yes.
And so Aries and Aries, you signed me up. I saw it, but she followed through in the action.
Yes.
She's a woman of action. I am too, but
I don't like waiting on people.
It's part of her strength. She's an activator. So she activated, right? So she saw it. And I don't know where I was
Well, what happened was Kim was like, hey, one of our mutual friends who works at Microsoft, she posted it on LinkedIn. So Kim told me about it, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I put it on a calendar, but then I was like, did we register or, do anything? And somebody mentioned it in the comments, and then I didn't see any feedback. So I'm like, let me do my research. So I just went in there and signed us both up, and then that was that.
Yeah, she sends me a link like, here, make sure you do this. Just go do it in 10 minutes. It's going to expire, the link. So thank you for setting that up.
You're welcome.
So it was actually a wonderful experience. I think we were both fulfilled from that. We actually had to go to orientation the day before. So we sacrificed a Friday night.
Which we owed anyway.
Right.
We wouldn't
Everybody want a happy
nowhere.
hour.
Like, that's dedication.
What? I said that. I said, if I go volunteer, just thinking ahead, like if I want to date somebody, I'm going to look at your volunteer history.
Oh my God.
Really?
That says a lot about somebody because
It
sacrificing time is something that you can't get back. You can make money, but you can't get time.
That's true.
So.
And what do you care about? Because
Correct.
that's why we were really willing to do it, is because it's something that we actually have been talking about for a while. So when the opportunity came up, it was like, oh, okay, like now we can act this out for real,
Wait, so it was a volunteer thing?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was just an event.
But once we got there, it was like God ordained, because they wanted to connect with us just as much as we wanted to connect with them. And so we'll see some future partnerships with Black Girls Code coming up.
And we were able to meet some other wonderful women as well that we're hoping to connect with. And I ran into somebody who saw me in an event. She looked at me and was like, I know you from somewhere. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't think you know me. And she's like, well, where were you this weekend? Were you doing something fun? I'm like, well, I am fun all the time. So I don't know where I was last weekend. She forgot.
Because I feel like we mentioned last week that you were twerking at the Melon Fest.
No, we did not.
We did mention the Melon Fest.
But we did not mention that part.
We did.
I promise you.
I know I mentioned it. Twirling and twerking.
I don't know that I remember that, but okay.
Oh, no, you acting like you don't be twerking and twirling. She's in denial now.
It's an art and it's a form of exercise.
It is, and you're really good at
it. So she's like, oh, you were the girl that was doing the handstand. Handstand Kim.
Wait.
She gave me a nickname, Handstand Kim.
Handstand, come on.
Yeah.
If you can wall twerk, twerk, you're advanced.
Yes.
So maybe I'll get you ladies out there next time.
Oh, I ain't gonna be, right, I'm like, I'm not gonna be wall twerking. I don't have the upper arm strength. I'll be them buckled.
I doubt that. You said buckle.
But it was really fun, and honestly, we have been talking about focusing more this year on causes that are to our heart. Like things
being
that
intentional.
It felt fulfilling. Yes. Like it just was like, this is where we're supposed to be. It was 50 little girls there, and I was like, oh my God, this is what I wanted when I needed this. When I was coming up interested in computers, we call it computers.
Right.
Back then, and so they're learning Python. Like that is big, and I think it was one of the first times they've done this particular training. So
yes,
we're excited. And they'll be at UTD next month.
So, question for the person that knows nothing about coding and all that stuff.
Right.
What is Python? Because
it's a programming language.
Okay.
So a lot of the apps and games and things that it's the background language that creates, that stuff. So
yeah, I was like Python, I'm lost.
So think about Roblox, like the behind the scenes.
Does your nephews or niece they play any of those kind of games?
Minecraft. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm caught up, guys.
Yes.
All right.
Caught up. And it's very difficult, and it's a very sought after skill, because I know we're hiring at my job, and we can't find people with a skill.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lack of black women in IT, specifically developers. So I think this was a great cause to start young.
Yeah, because the younger they learn, they can jump right into the next opportunity. So, yes, we had a good time.
I love it.
And that actually goes in line with our theme. So we have a theme every month. This theme for the month of March is Spring It Into Action. And so that was a part of our action, is actually going and doing what we said we were going to do, and that was volunteering.
Exactly.
So.
Yay, we're accomplished.
Yes. And it's not a checkbox.
Yeah, but it's like
it's ongoing.
But you need to do it to be like, okay, now we're in motion.
We're in motion.
So yeah.
So the reason we have Miss Angela here today is because our episode for today is life of being a homeowner.
Yes. And
we are all three black single women who ironically are homeowners.
Yes.
So we both thought, Aries and I thought this would be a great episode because there are highs and lows of being a homeowner. And then we also wanted to talk about our journey to homeownership.
Yes.
So let's kick it off. So let's talk about our journey and maybe some of what those myths are. Aries, did you want to kick it off and share what your journey has been? Because our journeys are different.
Yeah, because this is the house I live in right now is my third home. The first two, I was married.
Fancy.
But this is the first home I've had by myself as a single woman.
Got it.
So this is my first time, like, from the ground up, everything. But I did have previous experience of the process and all that, so I knew what to expect. Because I think I was 23 or 24 the first time I was married, and we bought a condo.
Okay.
Don't know nothing. I was just signing the papers, whatever they said, So I didn't educate myself as much, I just was like, okay, whatever. But when I bought this house, it was right before the housing market, kind of dropped. So things have changed since then, pretty drastically, I would say, from when I first bought my home, because we were doing the interest-only loans, those, credit cards.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was like, oh my gosh. So this is totally different. And I'm in Texas and not California.
Right.
So it's possible to actually own a home
and still
by yourself. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So
have furniture.
Exactly. So, it's definitely a process, and I think mentally thinking about, for me, the benefits, I would say, is obviously taxes.
Yes.
But having a solid place, and for me as a mom, this is my kids' home. They were born into this home, so they have stability.
And this is all they know.
Yep. Our house is right across the street from their school. They walk right across the street and go to school. So
and she lives in a wonderful neighborhood.
I live in a great neighborhood. When they were really little, they were able to go outside in the backyard and play without me having to worry about anything. And it was kind of like in a contained, environment. And now, like, this is their neighborhood. They get on their bikes. They can ride around, go knock on their friends' doors, and their friends knock on our doors. So there's like this, like I said, the stability as a whole. I would say those are like the benefits to me.
And your reasoning why you wanted to purchase a home?
Well, I know I know that it is an asset, and I didn't have a lot, at the time. It was like I was only making 40-something thousand at that time, and the fact that I was able to get one, I was
and
like,
you were able to build from the
ground up. Yeah. So this is where I live now. We used to be considered the Boondocks when I first moved here. Now there's a bunch of other cities further north that people are like, you live way out there. They don't turn their nose up at me as much anymore.
They turn it up at me.
At you, yeah.
They turn it up at me.
Yes.
I'm the person that's north, and it's like, oh, hey.
We're like, overnight bag to go over hands.
Right.
So yeah, I would say that would be. It's a lot of benefits, if you were asking all benefits, but yeah, for me.
I would say for me, being a single person, no kids, so I'm not really thinking about like, oh, the neighborhood, you know,
Right,
like
the school
my
district.
kids are gonna grow up in this house and they're gonna have this memory. I'm like, I'm tired of throwing away money, right? Like I literally feel like when you're renting, you're just giving money to somebody and
They're
you never
paying their
see it.
mortgage.
They're paying their mortgage.
And they're going to benefit from it,
Yeah,
right?
right. They're getting
Yeah.
the benefit. You never see it. Your money, that's just money that's gone. Like the benefit is living in the place, but that's it, right? So when I got the house, it was like, okay, now I actually am putting my money into something that is benefiting me.
And you're building.
And I'm building, yes.
Okay.
What about you?
And so my why and probably my journey was, I had two parents, right? But they rented an apartment from a family member for like 20 years.
Wow.
Exactly. So in 20 years, and it was actually 20 plus years because I had lived there for 25. So they would have had already paid off that building had they been invested in it. And so
now this is in Chicago.
This was in Chicago.
And that's when y'all had those like flats or whatever.
Yep.
Where you
So you have two
upstairs,
units.
downstairs.
Yep, and a basement.
If you read Becoming by Michelle Obama, that's what she lived in when she was growing up.
Yes, exactly. So I stayed in an apartment for 25 years, and I was like, when I get older, I'm going to buy my own house. So that was my motivation, and at the time, I had my daughter, and I was like, well, I want my daughter to live in a home. And so I decided to move to Texas and look for a home, and I wanted her to have somewhere safe, her own room, her own space, and I didn't have that in Chicago, so that was what motivated me, was my daughter and living in Chicago for 25 years in an apartment.
I love it. Yeah, okay, so, yeah. I mean,
And
there are a million benefits.
I will tell you, as someone who lived in an apartment, one benefit is you smell other people, right? In other apartments. You smell what they're cooking.
Yes.
You hear them.
You know,
upstairs and downstairs.
If they have a pest problem, you now have a pest problem.
I was just getting ready to go there. Next door. And if they started treating, they will come next door.
Yeah.
So it was like, you know what? I want my own space. I don't want to have to share it. And although the great part about it was the person that was on the first unit, she was like a grandma to me. So I literally would go down the stairs and go into her house. But everyone doesn't have that luxury of knowing, because you don't know who your neighbor is.
No,
I don't.
mine
It
would
might
change.
be a pedophile.
Like every year they change.
That's
So
exactly.
Probably,
I remember she was
probably
like,
because of my dog.
she would be like,
Right?
the drug dealers that moved in upstairs.
Oh yeah, man.
You had some drug dealers?
Look, when I tell
in the
you,
apartments.
I was like, they were only there like 3 days out of the week, and they would be gone for like 3, come back for 3, be gone for 3, and the traffic that came to the apartment while I was there, I was like, that's too frequent, and it was always different people. So I was like, ugh, something's happening. I'm just something is happening.
Right. I don't want to be a witness.
Right.
But yeah, and that's the other thing too. Like, so I would, when I want to have something in my house, I could turn my music, up louder than I would if I was in an apartment.
Or if I'm at home by myself and I want to jam out.
Exactly. So it's just a lot.
When it's cold, I can just open the back door and let the dog out versus having to like put him on a leash and walk him out.
Yeah.
Pick up his poop.
Right.
Exactly.
There are definitely some advantages to that. I love my daughter has her own space. Like you said, just going into the backyard. In Chicago, the garage was not attached to the house. So
that's just rude.
So when
in Chicago,
and it's
of all
cold,
places.
yes.
So you would have to go outside, and then, where I lived, and then you had to, it was like a space between the garage. So when I moved here, I was like, oh my gosh, they have an attached garage? Like, I thought I was doing something. And then in Chicago, not a lot of places had central air. We had the air conditioning in the window. We had a radiator. So it was just antiquated and old. So I really thought I was doing something when I bought my first house.
Yeah.
I thought I was a bad bee.
You were.
Right.
You still are.
Right. And that was, 12 years ago? And you've been in your house how long?
This year will be 14.
Wow.
I've never lived anywhere this long.
No, I can't. Yeah, I've lived in an apartment for 25 years.
Yeah, I'm like, I've never lived in one address for this long. So,
wow.
I'm like,
stability.
Yeah, that's big to me.
2013.
Okay.
So 7.
Wow. So we have some longevity here. So I'm grateful for the resources to pay the mortgage, and that's another thing. when you rent, you never know when that rent may go up or how much it may go up. At least with the mortgage, I feel like it's pretty consistent. The only thing that might shift are your taxes and maybe your insurance.
Yep.
So let's talk about myths of homeownership. Would you like to share any myths, Angela?
Are we talking about myths getting to homeownership?
Like, what are some things that people say, like why they're not, that they think, but it's not true?
I think one of the biggest things is having to put 20% down. Like, I still hear that, and it blows my mind because it's been something that's changed for a while, but a lot of people feel like they have to have 20% down in order to buy a home, and that's not true.
Is there a set percentage?
Yeah, normal range is 3 to 5%, but there are a lot of people that can come with zero, depending on
Credit and stuff.
What's available for grants and that sort of thing. But yeah, 3 to 5% is your normal down payment range.
And is it 3 to 5% plus closing costs, or is that all included in the
No, that's plus closing costs. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. So people get fixated on down payment, right? So they're like, oh, okay, 3%.
Right.
And then you're like, yeah, so that's the down payment. We also have closing costs, that are associated with that. And closing costs, I always tell people, estimate about 2%.
Okay.
You may not have to pay that. That's on the high end, right? Because you're going to be your realtor is going to be negotiating for you, so you may not have to pay that, but it's a good way to prepare. So if you're preparing and you're saving up, the total would be between 5 and 7%. That you should be saving total.
And what about, and real quick, closing costs. Like, what is that? What are you paying?
Yes, so there's a whole bunch of things. Closing costs have your taxes, right? Because they're paying
in advance.
You have your insurance that you're also paying in advance. Prepaid interest. So typically most people aren't moving in on the 1st of the month. They're moving in on the 15th, the 13th. So you're paying for the days that are left in the month. Then you have title fees. So your title fees are going to be what creates your deed, what allows you to
They
sign
do
all
the documentation.
Documentation.
All this stack of paperwork you got to sign.
Yes.
They make sure you're compliant with all the stuff.
They're your Switzerland. They're making sure that everything is legit between the buyer and the seller. And then you have your lender fees, which is preparing the loan from the time that you get your contract all the way to funding it. And then your appraisal. You got to get a house appraised. You got your inspection.
And that's not in the 2 to 3% or the closing costs, because I know my inspection was separate.
You do that in advance.
Yeah. Yes, the inspection's separate. The appraisal's included in that cost.
Got it.
And that's me getting technical, but any like earnest money, which is like considered a down payment kind of, is put towards your closing costs. So if you pay $2,000 to go into the contract, it goes towards your closing costs.
Just to let them know, like, I'm for real gonna give y'all money,
it's
so
like
y'all can hold this.
Yes,
Yes.
And I think that's pretty much it.
What about credit? So like people thinking that they have to have like a 800 credit score or something like that. Like, what's kind of a minimum credit score you can have to get a good interest rate?
So technically, your minimum credit score is 580, right?
Wow.
But you don't want 580 with a ton of collections and no money saved up, because you're probably not going to get an approval because of the fact you're considered risky. You have all these collections. How do we know that you're going to actually be able to afford this house? There are people that have a 580 score, but they've been repairing their credit. They don't have as many collections. Maybe they're new to credit completely and they're just at the 580 score. They'll get an approval because of the fact they don't have a lot of delinquents and stuff like that on the credit. So you can do 580, but the higher your score is, the easier it is to get approved.
So let's talk about this. We have, as we talked about before, Black women. We're going to school. We have these student loans. How does that? Everybody felt that. And I was like,
yes.
Like we
any
in church.
tips? Because I want to say when I got my house, I hadn't started paying my student loans back yet.
So that's actually a good
I didn't
myth.
have any.
Oh, when you bought your house.
When I bought this house, I did not have any student loans because I came here and I started grad school at the same time.
So your undergrad
was
was already...
I was paying from my paycheck. when I was, in school, I paid cash.
Got it.
Yeah, so I think that is another myth. So I'm glad you brought it up.
Yes.
Is a lot of people feel like if they have student loans, they can't get a house.
Right.
And it's like, no, that's not the case. We have to include your payment in your debts, even if it's in deferment, because a lot of people will be like, oh, well, it's in deferment. I'm not paying anything on it, so we don't have to count it.
But you will have to one day.
Should.
Yeah, you will.
You
Exactly.
will want to,
You'll
actually.
have to. And so we count it because we know you're going to have to eventually pay it, right? So there are ways to get around it. Like I had somebody who had $150,000 worth of student loan debt that was able to get a house. And they didn't make $80,000, $100,000. They only made about $50,000, right?
Wow.
So it's possible.
Yeah.
We just have to,
Finesse.
work on a solution. Yes, exactly.
I love it.
I was
Yeah.
thinking of another myth, and now it left my mind. I think it had to do with that. What about, like, if you do have debt, okay? And we'll probably walk through just, like, have you go through kind of the steps. But, like,
Okay.
if you have debt, you have to pay off all your debt? Like,
No. No. So that's another thing. Yeah. You can have debt. I mean, realistically, we're in America. They encourage you to get debt, right?
Mhm.
They want you to buy the car. They want you to have student loans. They want you to have credit cards, all those different things. So we really expect it. When I see somebody that has a credit report with no debt, I'm like, what? That is amazing. So the only time you'll have to pay something off is if you exceed what we call as our debt to income ratio. So what that means to you is that your debts are like what's on your credit report, and then we add in what a potential mortgage will look like in those debts, and then we compare that to how much money you're making. So there's a ratio that you fall within, and if it's too high, then there might be some stuff that we're like, hey, if you could pay down this credit card that's $500, but the payment's $25, that'll help you. So sometimes you do have to pay stuff off to get to that appropriate debt to income, but not all of it. No.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. I mean, I've had people ask me in the past, like, how did you get your house? And I think things have changed since I got my house to now. Like, interest rates are different. We have a new president. So we have new things that are going on.
That Corona got that interest rates going down.
right, the one benefit, you know what I mean? The one benefit, rates are going down.
So
So for homeownership, that's good.
Yes.
So would this be a good time to buy, and if you're an existing member, to refinance?
Yes. So we're actually encouraging people. We're saying great time to buy because rates are really, really, they were already low before this happened, but now that this is happening, it's just dropping. So there's really like a, I don't want to say mass exodus. What is it when?
Push.
Yeah, like people are like running, right?
Mhm.
They're like, oh my gosh, I gotta, like, this is the time to buy. Yes, it is the time to buy. It's also the time to refinance. And people are so afraid to refinance. And I'm not sure why. There's a lot of hesitancy. And it's way less work than it was when you first purchased your home. So if your rate is higher, and when I say higher, if it's above a 4, you're going to get a rate that's lower right now. And that's going to make your payment come down. You potentially could skip 2 mortgage payments doing this, and then we would roll the fees into the loan, and the fees are less because you're not having to do all the title work that you had to do before.
That's the easiest housing process,
Yeah.
I would say, because Ange did my refi 2 years ago, and it was a short amount of time, and it's like it's easier too because you're not like going through the process of looking for a house or building a house and all the stress that comes with that.
House.
Yeah.
You already did that. So you're just submitting your paperwork and letting them do everything.
So I have a
Yeah.
question, because I haven't refinanced, and I'm sure that's something I'll probably do in the future. One, what are the benefits of refinancing? And then 2, does the loan restart? Like, do you have another 30-year mortgage, or I'm sure you can choose a 15?
Yep.
Right?
Yes. So you can refinance it for the remainder of the term. So let's say you've been in the house for 10 years, you have about 20 years left.
Right.
You can do a refinance for 20 years.
Got it.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't want to restart a 30-year.
Right. Yeah. And some people do because they're like, I want to save $300. Maybe that's what the difference is, But typically the benefits are, so to answer your question, the benefits would be it's going to lower your payment. We're not legally allowed to refinance you if it's not going to benefit you. That's the number one thing, right? Like if it's not lowering your payment, we're not
What's the point?
Yeah. Or your term. Because sometimes you might say, oh, I want a lower term. Maybe I want to go to a 15-year. And then your payment's going to go up because of the fact that you're going to a 15-year versus the 30-year. Right? But if you only have 15 years left and we stay at a 15-year term, your payment will only go down.
Got it.
And then you can take money out.
Yes.
If you want, because I did.
Yes.
And paid off whatever other little stuff I had, my car, all that. Like, I didn't want any monthly payments. So, like, for me, I'm the type, I'm on the Dave Ramsey, you know. I have student loans and my house. That's it.
Right.
And that's how I wanted to stay forever until I pay those student loans off. But, yeah, that's another benefit, too. Because, like, I took money out because I hadn't done anything for, like, 11 years.
Yeah.
So, and when I bought my house, the rates were high. So, I got a lower payment. I took money out. And still, my payment didn't really affect it that much. Only a little bit. Only by, like, a couple hundred. But it was way less than what I was doing. Paying a car and
yeah. I have actually a friend of mine that she's looking at refinancing right now, and she has about 50% of the loan towards the equity in the house. So let's just say the house is $200,000, her loan amount's $100,000, right? She has a car note where she's paying $362 a month. So I was like, well, and I did the math. I was like, let me see what this math is looking like. And we added $30,000 into the loan, and it only put her payment up, because the rates are so low and the value of the houses are still high. It only put her payment up about $10, and then it's saving her $370 from the car note.
Well, I might need to talk to you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. I'm telling you, I was like, yes.
Yes.
I was afraid to refinance. I was like, I don't know about that, but I want a lower payment. And, here in Dallas, I used to say I was moving to Dallas. I was getting a man, a house, and a Benz for $250K. I was like, I can get all of that.
A man too?
Right. I was like, man, where's that? Hold on, sign me up. Sign me up.
A man.
Yeah, I was disappointed.
See?
I was disappointed. So I got the house, right? Less than $250K.
Mm-hmm.
But I have friends who are paying more in rent than I am in a mortgage.
Yes.
So that is an incentive right there. It's like, you are throwing away money.
Yeah.
If you can pay that rent, more than likely you can pay your
and it might be less.
Yeah.
It might be less.
Yeah. There's well, my sister, she was waiting on her house to get built, so they had sold their other house, so they were in a 3-bedroom apartment while the house was finishing that they were moving into. And their rent was like $2,100 a month.
What?
Yes.
In Texas, that's like...
Yes.
California, I'm like, what? 21? They about to be trying to go find that place.
And it's a lot.
I mean, because Lauren it was like $3,000 downtown Oakland for a 1-bedroom. So,
yeah.
That's California.
Grateful.
See? Yes. So,
no.
Clearly they got out of that and they got, a bigger space. But it's one of those things where your people are paying $1,700, they're paying $1,800 in rent for a 2-bedroom, maybe not a 1-bedroom, but a 2-bedroom.
I think my mother had a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Her rent was more than my mortgage.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a lot, for sure.
So that's definitely one of the advantages of homeownership, being existing. Let's talk about our challenges and maybe the disadvantages of being a homeowner, and kind of going into how do you prepare for that. So I have a most recent experience.
Yes.
During the holidays, discovered a gas leak, right? And so I had a homeowner's warranty as a single woman. That's something that I make sure I always have, because I can always call, and it's $60 if they come out, and I think the homeowner's warranty plan is like $600.
What do you have, American Home Shield?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
like $63
that
or
gives
something.
me comfort that if something goes on inside the house, I can call them. So the gas leak was outside of the house. So I called them, and they're like, oh, we don't cover that.
That's why I don't have a home warranty anymore. I'm just going to tell you. I'll tell you when I get to mine, but I'm learning that a lot of the stuff, after a while, is just...
I've heard that.
You might as well have your emergency fund.
Yeah. I guess you're right.
Well, I mean, we had an AC situation.
I had one of those.
Yeah, and they came out. I think I had to call them like 3 times to come out, because every time they were like, nothing's wrong. And I'm like, it's hot.
Yeah.
Something's wrong. Like, the air is blowing from one vent, and it's like, whoosh. Like, there's something wrong because nobody else is getting air. And he's like, no. We're like, there's something wrong. There's
so do you have a homeowner's warranty?
Yes.
Okay.
And so that's the people that were coming out.
See.
Is what they were under. But finally, because I was like, there's something. Like, we're not idiots. Like, we're hot, you know?
Yeah.
And so he finally was like, I checked. Well, I have to go into a voice. I'm sorry, yeah.
Acting.
He's like, I checked, and you know what? I listened, and I looked, and I saw that this was down, and so, you know what? We're going to go ahead and fix that. Thank you. Like, do your job. It shouldn't be the third time, Because
that's
they're
the hard
just
part.
replacing the coolant. What is that going to do?
And I think that some of the people that they call out is like not the best.
The low performers.
Yeah, I'm like
low quality.
I'd rather hire somebody who's really good.
I know.
And pay. But okay, so you had your gas leak. We went home.
And so call the homeowner warranty that said it's outside the foundation. It's outside of the home. It's not on the inside, so it wasn't covered. Well, I had to call like a plumber and I didn't know that like anything pipes, even if it's gas, it's a plumber. Plumbers and pipe fitters. And I was like, I don't know why I didn't think of that. Well, anywho, the expense was $2,000.
Jeez.
So I had to come out of pocket for that. So
if you didn't have that,
and this was in January, it was cold.
And that's
my
not
heat
something
was off for over 10 days. I had to go stay in a hotel for a couple of days. So I make sure I have a emergency fund.
Yeah. At
all times, even with a homeowner's warranty, because just because you call the homeowner's warranty, they like to fight whether or not it's covered.
And that wouldn't be covered by your homeowner's insurance?
No, because it was outside of the home. Now, if it was inside, it would have been different. So I was ready just to blow the house up and just like a match and walk off like waiting to exhale. And I felt so defeated as a homeowner. I'm like, I want to rent. So there are moments when you're like, okay, this is really overrated. Yeah. When those expenses.
I have talked to my realtor who sold me this house. I still have a relationship with him over the years. He's like the best because he keeps up with us.
That's awesome.
Like quarterly, he's calling and like we have a conversation. He knows I'm not about to sell, but
but still,
I refer him.
I haven't heard from mine in 12 years.
I refer him. I refer people to him. We just keep up, and so, and I was like, I've had multiple times where I'm like, I'm thinking about selling. What's the market doing? He'll go entertain me by going to look at stuff, and I'll be like, nah, okay, no, because I'll be having the struggle of I've had my water heater go out, I have my AC go out.
I remember that.
I've had
the water heater.
You can't have the AC go out in Texas.
Oh my God! No,
I've had all of that go out.
Yes.
Where I've had to go to the gym and take showers.
I was at my mama's house. I had my foundation. Now here's the other thing. So when I bought this home, it came with a 10-year warranty because it was brand new.
Yeah.
So a month before my warranty was up, I'm not. If we see cracks in the wall in California, it's probably from earthquakes. Mm-hmm. Like foundation, I don't know.
Yeah, same here from Chicago.
But I had started noticing little cracks like in my tile. Yeah. Little bit. And then in the wall right here, it was like a little crack. And I'm like, so I had somebody come out, I had to pay for an engineer to come out.
Which
to
is
do
what,
it.
like $500?
$400.
Yep.
And that was because I knew they were going to say it wasn't covered because it was so close to it being almost over. And so you do have to do the education because they did deny me first. When they came out, they did not say, they were like, no issues. Or they said they saw it, but it wasn't covered. It was something like that where they said no. And I'm like, I'm not going for it. So I appealed. And when I appealed, then they sent somebody back out. And then they discovered magically that, oh yeah, it is. And I'm like, they will try you. They'll say no to see if you're going to, because I had to pay $1,260 to appeal. So think about that. That's $2,000 I had to come out the pocket just to get them. Because guess what? It was $11,000 worth of work.
Oh my God.
And they gave me the money. I went and found me somebody who did it for $5,000. And
that's another thing. Researching other
you
people.
I had 3 estimates. I mean,
Yeah.
I was being very like, no.
And that takes work. And it can be emotionally draining. Because there was a moment where I was like, I'm about to have a breakdown.
Yes.
As a single woman, you're like, I have to do all of this. I have to have the funds. I have to go research it.
Yeah.
Have all these people come and have an estimate. That gets weary.
Because if she didn't have the 2,000, she wouldn't have been able to appeal.
Exactly.
You know, and that's.
And then I got to educate my neighbors because we all had, it was something where when they built our homes, it affected, I found out, and this is where the community part comes in, I had a firefighter neighbor down here, my neighbor next door, and they all had cracks. So she did the same exact thing.
Good.
Appealed, because they told her no, and just because we were having the conversation, I'm like, no, appeal, do this, do that, yes. And so she ended up getting the same thing. So I know they hated us. They're like, damn it. She told everybody.
If one more person on the street
Right.
calls me.
Exactly.
And
I'm
just
like,
thinking, your air, your hot water heater, you really, I would say you need a fund of like $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
Just to have that cushion, because if you use $2,000, that's already like half of it already gone.
Yeah, because when they gave me that money back, I just put it back in my little account, you know, to do other little home repairs and then hold that for next time. You know?
And that's another thing. What I thought was, and this might be a myth, I used to think home repairs was a tax write-off. It's not.
Oh, no, I never thought that.
I did.
And I didn't hear that one.
I thought it
I would have been right now.
I thought it was a write-off. And I learned that it was.
Writing
And
off
that
the
crushed
cleaning.
that crushed my little heart.
The maid came. Write that off. Lawn services.
Right.
Write that one off.
What are some of your challenges, Angela, that you've encountered as being a homeowner?
They're the same. You know, doing all the stuff that I don't want to do. I will say one. Okay, so having curly hair
In the
No
plumbing.
pipes.
gets
I
in
knew
the
it.
drain.
Yes.
You know, and
Get
when
you
I had
an
that
old school
apartment
snake.
life.
Yep. And pull
Well,
it
I
out.
have, yeah.
I just got through doing
hate
it in
doing it
there.
though. I just hate doing it. Like, so
I know.
at the apartment life, you know,
You
I just
called
call. I was like, oh, hey, my tub is backing up again,
Mhm.
and then they're like, okay, cool.
Again?
Right, like
Right.
I know they hated me. They're like, they probably just started putting me on a timer. Like, okay,
Right.
we're gonna go over there once a month,
The
you
curly
know,
hair
whatever.
girl over there.
Yeah, and so right. So then now it's like something that I have to do, and then when you do it, it's gross because
It
like
is.
the hair is all like just
Oh.
drippy,
Yeah, it is
and it
gross.
has all the soap scum, and you're just like, ugh,
Me and
you know?
Marvin literally just snaked their bathroom because somebody came over. I don't know what
It's
happened.
probably me.
It might have been you and my cousin and whoever else. And because I'm like, where is all this hair in their bathroom? So that's the guest bathroom too, you know? So it just must
I
have
was
been
gonna say, I
over
just took a shower in there after all this time.
See, and the water went right down the,
Yeah,
the
but-
thing though,
Yeah, it
didn't it?
did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's probably me. Yeah, I showered in that one. See, I'm telling you. So I would say just doing the little inconvenient things that normally I could just call somebody, like changing a light, you know, where it's like,
filter.
But you know what I just thought of?
what?
It's the same thing as working a job or owning your own business.
Yeah.
When
Somebody
you
has to
own
do
your
it.
own business, you got to do all the stuff.
You do.
When you work at a company, be like, I need someone to do this or that. You know, like you can delegate
Yes.
these things. No, when you own you, it's yours. It's all you.
Because I'm that girl that, like, if there's a jar that's too hard to open and there's any type of mail around, I'll be
You're
like,
gonna ask.
hey, can you do this? You know, like that's me. So of course, when it comes to like having to pull the hair out the drain or change a light, I'm like,
I'm a DIYer.
But then once I do it, I'm like, you know, like,
Right.
I'm a woman, hear me
Yes.
roar.
Exactly.
You know?
Yes.
But still, I don't.
I
wanna do it.
had my neighbors would come
Still
over here
wanna
to
do it.
borrow tools because I got the whole
Set
hookup,
up. Yeah, I have
the
a setup.
ladders, the everything. I'm
Yeah.
like, I've put in garbage disposals before. I go all the way
Wow.
as far as I can go without messing something up. Then I call the real people.
I'm quick to call that homeowner
Yeah.
warranty. And I get a warranty on everything. Well, not everything, but like my washer and dryer. It's probably double covered. So when I bought it at Nebraska Furniture, they asked, did you want a warranty? And as a single woman, it's just like, I need AAA. I need all the warranty I can get because I'm not pushing a car. And I'm probably not going to get behind the washing machine and the dryer.
Not.
I will.
No, don't get me wrong. Like, I will try and troubleshoot.
I'll call my dad.
Oh, and that's another episode we're going to talk about. Miss my dad because he was so handy. Men aren't
my
that
daddy not handy,
today.
so I ain't calling him.
My daddy was
my dad,
handy.
yeah. Yep.
Ooh, he could fix anything.
Cars, everything. Like,
Yes.
the light comes on, Daddy.
My stepdad he was like that though.
They just don't make them like that anymore. That's why it's
True.
like, why you want me to cook if you can't even be handy in
And
the
I
house?
ask guys that, I'll be like, are you handy? That's the question I ask, just like when they say, can you cook? As soon as they say that, are you handy?
That's a good one.
That's a good. I'm
And
gonna come back with
I
that.
do. I was like, are you handy? Because I got a whole bunch of projects over here.
And I'm
to
talking
do.
about handy with real pipes.
Right. Well, both would be.
Shoot.
I'm
I mean,
just
that's
saying.
I'm
real.
talking about the pipes in the ground.
But for real though.
You have to define it for some folks.
You
gotta
do.
Take it, you know.
Are you handy? Can
Are
you
you
fix
handy?
things around here?
Please
Yeah.
and thank you.
Anyway.
Yeah, so that's my plight.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we share that.
But I feel like the benefits outweigh the struggle.
Yes.
I agree. And the
Because it's
struggle
not
is
like
not
it's happening all the time.
Right,
Exactly.
exactly. Because
It's
I would
just
say that
being
was.
prepared.
I'm trying to think like that's really been the only major like the AC thing has been the only major thing since 2013.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like it happens all the time. You just want to be prepared for when it does.
Right.
Preparation.
So
Yeah.
having that emergency fund is important because, like, I went out of the country and my water heater, it was like some issues and they had to come out while I was gone.
I remember that.
You know, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, $1,300, you know, right there. If I wasn't there, it was like it could have created mold.
Damage.
Yeah. So you gotta just
That
have your little
emergency
fun.
fund is
Mhm.
key. Preparation is key in
Yeah.
everything, and I think we've talked about preparation to be a homeowner,
Yeah.
preparation in being an existing homeowner, and making sure you have that fund.
Yes.
Because the stress of not having that money, because then you won't be able to function.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You'll be very upset.
Yeah.
Like you said, taking showers at the
At the gym.
because your pipe bursts and you're
When I
saving
tell
up.
you I was so humble
Exactly.
from that experience, homeownership is humbling too.
It is.
I was in the room rocking back and forth, praying, and Lord.
She was stressed. I was like, calm down.
Yes.
Try to talk her off the ledge.
They don't know. So, people say, oh, you have a beautiful home. Yeah, it take work.
Mm-hmm.
I might be eating rice and beans for the week.
And like
I mean, they're still good, but I'm eating.
I like rice and
Me
beans.
too.
Put that a tortilla around it.
Right. Exactly. And that's why, like, the community part is important too. Because, like I
Yes.
said, I had a firefighter neighbor. I was so sad when he moved. He moved to Salina. He used to come over when it was like when they say it's gonna freeze the next day or it's gonna be ice. He would come pour. He'll just send me a text like, I put some de-icer on your steps, and stuff,
sweet.
or on my back, whatever. And he came and put the Christmas lights up for me. He's a firefighter. He's used to being up high on stuff. That was just helpful. And me and the neighbor right here, she's like, call someone so he'll come over and do, like we working other people's husbands coming over helping us.
Help.
We're like, we're just
Help
the
us
single
report.
ladies over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Which, if there are any men who are listening to this is a possible business opportunity.
Mhm.
I read their statistics about there's so
real.
many single women who are buying homes, right? So think about it. If we're single, we don't have anyone in the house being handy.
And if you are married, you probably don't have nobody in there being handy.
Well,
I'm
that's
just
another subject. That's another podcast.
Well.
That could be a business venture, being a handyman for single women, because I know I share resources with my friends, and my friends share resources like, hey, girl, did you know this so-and-so person?
use this person.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or don't use this person.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the community does come in.
Yeah, because I have a mechanic where he's a mobile mechanic. So now it's like anytime somebody's like, oh, hey, I'm like, oh, I got somebody.
See?
And he'll come to you, and he's very fair on
She has
prices.
a garage guy too, and he came
Oh,
to fix
I
my
love
garage
I
door.
will be using him.
Yes.
Mhm.
You may need you
I
to send it
told
to
I'll
you.
send it to you. Yeah. He's
Yep.
amazing.
And
he's
quick and
very fair.
good.
He's not one of those people that will just charge you to charge you.
Mhm.
And see, that's another thing. Like, just general maintenance around the house, you have to keep up with that. Like, a new garage opener or just getting it tuned up.
Just like your car,
Yeah.
Yes. You gotta keep it up.
I gotta put gas in it myself.
And oil. You gotta go get an oil change.
Yeah.
What hit me hard was tires. I was like, $1,000?
Right. Depending on what kind of car you got, because when I had that Lexus, I was like, where are the other cars at? I want regular gas and I want regular tires.
For real.
I was out of the luxury life. I'm like, you know what? It's not that
even
serious.
worth it. Yeah.
I keep my Toyota Camry and keep that maintained. I still got a 2003 Toyota Camry and a 2015. So, paid off. My mom drives the other one. Keep yourself maintained. You can make it last for a long time.
That's true.
Yeah.
Same thing with the house. Keep it together. You don't have to do a whole bunch.
If only we could do those in our relationships. Keep it maintained.
Dang.
Look, keep it, period.
Keep it. Or just start it. Can we just start one? You know, I mean,
you know, I tell people
it's
easy.
Keep talking.
It's easy to get it. But keeping it.
Exactly.
Keeping the car, keeping the house. Consistency is key.
Yeah.
Jesus is on the main line.
Tell them what you want.
Exactly.
So since we're here, we want to take advantage of your resources, and if anyone has any questions, we do want you to go to Angela if you're in the market to buy a home. Any other tips you want to tell them about preparing for home?
Can you do start from just a high level from the beginning, like what the process looks like if they have a realtor or whatever, and they're like, I want to buy a house, and they think they can just go buy whatever. Yes. Like, how does it work to qualify someone to get a loan?
Okay, so first off, don't ever go look at houses until you know what your price point is, because you'll get your feelings hurt most times.
Real bad.
You'll fall in love with the house that has like the island kitchen and the granite countertops and the swimming pool, and then you're like, this is the house I want, and then I have to tell you like, so let's readjust this, right?
Funny you should say that. The realtor I had when I was flying back and forth, she would not show houses until I was pre-approved.
You got to.
That's
yeah.
It's not like there are some realtors that will, but most of them won't.
She wanted the pre-approval letter with the amount.
Yes.
So that way she knew.
You're not wasting time.
Wasting time. You know how much time it takes to drive people around?
Because a lot of times people aren't even able to get pre-approved.
And you're gonna fall off.
Like they're like, yeah, I'm gonna buy this house, and then like they can't even
afford it.
They can't afford it, but they also their credit's not ready. You know, so there's a lot of people that don't even qualify that think they do. You know, so that was my little intro. Mm-hmm. But the process is you start with the pre-approval. So like the realtor is always going to refer you, right? They're going to say, hey, I need you to get pre-approved. So you might as well just come to me first. And then, you know, that way when you go to the realtor, you're already ready, right? The pre-approval process, what that looks like to you is me just looking at your application and seeing what you qualify for. So when I say that, that's the purchase price amount. So that way, you know, when you're going to look for houses, you can't exceed $250,000, you know, and I'll tell you, I'll be like, hey, you know, this is where the payment is going to be at for a $250,000 house. And hopefully you've set a budget and you know what you can afford as far as a payment goes. Because a lot of times as lenders, we can qualify you for way more than you can actually afford.
Because it doesn't add in your grocery bill, your gas,
exactly.
your all the other
your
stuff,
daycare,
your kids, exactly.
Yes. Yeah, so you know what you can afford each month. So if I come here and I tell you like your payment would be $1,700 and you know that your max is $1,600, then we would just adjust it based off of that. You know, so then it's like, okay, cool. Well, you know, now you can afford a house that's this price point, you know. That way you're not wasting your time looking at houses that you can't afford. That helps your realtor know what areas to keep you in, because they know that they don't need to take you to the $500,000 neighborhood. Right. So that's always the first step. Then once you find the house that you like, then you know, it'll come back to me. That's where we get the signed contract, and that's where we start the actual process of getting you the loan. So we get the required documents. We submit it over to our underwriting team. That's the person that's real nitpicky. Mm-hmm. They look at all the guidelines, and they're like, hey, I have questions. They're scrutinizing everything on their file.
Why was that one payment late?
Yes.
15 years ago.
Yes, yeah. And then they'll say, like, let's say your mom deposited $500 into your account. They're going to be like, why? What is that for? You know, they have all the questions because they want to make sure that you're not doing anything illegal, but also they want to adhere to the guidelines that are set by the state, because there were a lot of guidelines implemented when the housing crash did happen. You know, because there was a lot of people getting houses that they couldn't afford. Mm-hmm. So now they're trying to make sure that we're verifying all aspects, your job history, your credit, what's in your savings, bank accounts, to ensure that you can continue to keep the house after you get in it. So to keep it high level, goes the underwriter, comes out, you know, we're like, yay, you can get the house now, and then we go to the closing table. And
once you find your house.
Once you find your house, all that stuff. So that's the high level overview of the contract portion. But one of the things I like to do with people I'm working with is educate them, make sure that they're in the know when they're going through the process, because I know for me, it was like, click here, and I was like, what do I do? I don't know. Like, and I didn't know what was going on, but I was just like, sign this? Okay. You know, I didn't know what I was signing, you know, so I try to help that.
I like that about Angela because, first of all, she's just
Sweetheart.
Yeah, and she has integrity as a person, you know. So you want to work with people that you trust, because I've had where, you know, in previous experiences where people were, that's how the predatory loan stuff started.
Yeah.
They know you can't afford that.
Right.
Like, and then they're up here just giving you, you know, stuff they know that you can't afford just to try to get a sale or whatever. And Angela's like, you're not ready. Like, wait, let's get your credit repaired. She'll take time with you, refer you to somebody to help you get all that done, and wait, because nobody want to feel like they got sold, and nobody wants to regret a big, huge payment. You know, this is one of the bigger things you're gonna ever purchase in your life. Yeah, you know, so.
And you don't want to be in the house for 3 months and realize that you can't afford the house and then lose it. You know, so a lot of times when people come in and they're like, okay, this is my max payment, and I tell them that, and that's not the house that they want, you know, then sometimes they'll try to increase that. So I'm like reminding them, like, remember you said your max budget was, you know, $1,700, and then they'll say, oh, well, let me look, you know, maybe I'll, and then
because they can't find something within that range or something.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I try to remind them, because like I said, there are a lot of lenders that'll be like, hey, you're qualified for $1 million home, and then you might not be able to afford that $1 million. You could afford it in the system, but not afford it, like I said, with groceries, with daycare, you know. So we just want to make sure that you stay in the house. That's that's the goal. Get in and stay in.
Yes, stay in.
Stay in it.
It feels good.
Until you sell it because you want to sell it.
Exactly.
You have to sell
it.
Yeah, but you may want to use it as an investment property one day. You go get you a new house somewhere, you know, you moving on up like the Jeffersons or whatever. Right. And then you be like, you know what, I'm going to rent this out or Airbnb this out, you know, and do something else. So it's just a good step into investing. I believe in generational wealth, all that.
Yes.
You know, next month we're going to have someone on, my best friend actually, to talk about estate planning and how to kind of leave this as a legacy to your family, you know, and not a burden.
Right.
Because
it
can be a burden, you know, or a blessing. So what else do we have? Do we have a call to action, Kim?
So yes, our call to action, we have 3 call to actions. First one is being prepared. I think that's really in anything.
Be prepared.
Can I comment on that call to action?
Yes,
okay.
Please.
So I would say a lot of times you don't know where to step, right? And so I always tell people is talk to a professional, me, so that way you can know which steps you need to take, because it's easier to reach your goal if there's a pathway versus you just aimlessly swinging. So that was it.
So listen to Scratching and Surviving for Goal Setting. That was last week.
Yes.
And we had that previous podcast with Steph on about how to get your money together.
Yes.
Right? So leverage that and leverage her. Stay ready if you are an existing homeowner. Even if you're renting and you want to purchase, I still say build that emergency fund.
Yes.
Because even once you get the house, you're going to want to buy furniture.
Yep.
Right? And appliances, they aren't cheap if it doesn't come with it. And you may want to upgrade your appliances. So have an emergency fund. And I want to say I was trying to save, like, I had like $10,000, like, even once I moved, just to have. Because those expenses for having a new home. Yeah. And I just saved my money. And then last but not least, if you're in the market for a home, please contact Angela. She's awesome.
Or refinance.
So how will people reach you? What's your best method of communication?
Best method's phone. I mean, that's really it.
We'll leave it in the notes for them.
Yes.
And
she actually has some upcoming events or an event.
If you're in Dallas.
Yeah, if you're in Dallas, March 19th, we are having a home buyer mixer There will be alcohol there, and we can talk about the home buying process over beverages.
Nice.
Yes.
Beverages
So
are
I'll
always
give you
good.
details on that in the
Show notes.
notes. The notes for the show.
Nice. At Angie Knows Loans on Instagram.
That's me.
She does some really cute videos, and some of those videos have really quick snippets on what we just talked about.
Yep.
So if you need a refresher, that's a good place. And Angie's one of my good friends. See, I got friends that are doing things, okay?
Hey.
And her and Steph, who we had on, are also friends. So they work together. They'll do things together to help people kind of do that preparation piece so that you're not regretting it.
Yes.
Once you get there. Because it is a great feeling to own something.
Yes.
And
be able to afford it and keep it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Less stress.
Yes. Yes.
And I love the collaboration.
Yeah.
We can do more together, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
We need to be supporting each other.
Yeah.
So anyway, so to support us, make sure you rate and review this episode.
Yes.
Y'all not rating this stuff. We need some more ratings and reviews. But let us know if you enjoyed the episode, and go to bowblackgirls.com, get your Bow Black Girl t-shirts. You're going to see a lot more on our website coming up soon with collaborations and partnerships. I like some really, really exciting stuff coming up. It's crazy because God is just good. And like, we're just sitting here doing this to really try to build our community as Black women, and personal development and leadership and learning and all that kind of stuff. And it's amazing how much impact that's having on the community, our local community, that's noticing and seeing it and wanting to be a part of it. So thank you to all of you who are listening. And anything else you got, Kim?
That's it.
All right. Have a bold week, and we will see y'all next time.
Holla.
Peace.